So, our topic is urbanization and rural urban migration. We're going to discuss theory and policy. So, first part is about migration and urbanization dilemma. One of the major problems of development is rural to urban migration. And it is especially happening in countries such as Africa, Asia, and Latin America. And at the same time, world population is also growing, and by 2015, world population is expected to reach 9 billion. It was the first time in history, in 2008, when world became more urban than rural. What this means is that there were more people living in cities than in countryside or villages. Of course, cities play an important role in development, such as in modern sector and urban informal sector, providing job opportunities for a lot of people. But in controlling this urbanization, government may face challenges such as rapid migration and urban unemployment. Urbanization trends and growth. Now we're going to take a look at urbanization trends. What is pushing people to migrate from villages or rural areas to urban ones? There is a strong relationship between urbanization and income. Richer countries tend to have more urban population. However, developing countries are urbanizing faster than ever. For example, if you take a developing country today and compare it with the same economic development of developed country in the past, we can say that developing country have more urbanization than developed country in the past. And urbanization continues even when economic growth is still slow or negative. For example, it's especially happening in African countries when their GDP rates gradually not increase or decrease, but people still choosing to live in urban areas. So, we're going to take a look at urban population, which is growing dramatically, and we have here numbers. In 1950, about 275 million people lived in cities in developing countries, and when it came to 2010, the numbers grew to 3.4 billion people living in cities, and when it comes to 2030, nearly 5 billion people are expected to live in urban areas. And in this graph, we can see urban population and per capita, relationship between urban population and capita. So here we can see that countries such as Switzerland, Denmark, and Luxembourg, which has more urban population, tend to have higher GDP per capita, and countries like Rwanda has less urban population, and it has also lower GDP per capita. And next, we have another example of this trend, which shows relationship between GDP per capita and urbanization rates. We can look at United States or Singapore with high GDP rates, and they have more than 80% of their population living in urbanized place, while we have Afghanistan or Nigeria with less GDP rates, and they have less people living in urbanized areas. Megacities, slums, and migration challenges. Now we're going to take a look at some of the problems related to urbanization. So first, what is megacity? Megacity is a city which have more than 10 million people living. And the number of megacities are increasing rapidly. In 1975, there were only 3 megacities in the world. And when it came to 2009, there were 21 megacities. And in 2025, there is about 29 megacities in the world, and most of them are located in developing countries. Of course, cities provide advantages, such as agglomeration economies. And I'm gonna give a definition to agglomeration economy. This means that its economic term means when Firms locate near to each other, they get a lot of benefit from it and they get a lot of productive. So agglomeration economies is a positive for economic development. But rapid growth creates problems such as housing shortages, congestion, because of a lot of people, and pollution, crime, and pressure on services such as electricity or water. And slums also contain over 1/3 of urban population in developing countries. And what the term slum means that huge number of people living in urban areas with really poor conditions. And we can see that rural migration accounts for 35 to 60% of urban population growth. So many governments try to minimize or slow migration and reduce urban pressure. Here we can see 45 megacities of the world, and it's obvious that most of them are located in countries which is developing, like in Asian countries or in Africa or in Latin America. And here we can see the annual growth rate of slums and urban population. In Southeast Asia, it is annual rate of slums is 1.3, while annual growth rate of urbanization is 3.8, while in countries such as Sub-Saharan Africa, slum population contains 1.5, while urban population is nearly the same, which is 1.6. Our next part is about urban giantism and its historical origins. So, urban giantism occurs when one city becomes extremely large compared to other cities in the country. This city is usually the capital city. So, why this happens? Before why this happens, let's take a look at the result of urban giantism. Urban giantism leads to congestion, high living costs, and pressure on infrastructure. This may be, there's a lot of people, but not enough public transport, or not enough structure, let's say. And the main cause of this is colonial transportation system. We know that many of the developing countries today inherited their transportation networks from colonial times, and these networks were designed to extract raw materials or valuable things from the country, and because of that, the Panman School describes them as drainage systems, because their main function was just take out valuable resources from country. And we have another term such as hub and spoke system, which basically means that transportation networks often followed hub and spoke system, and capital city acted as hub, usually near to sea airport, and smaller towns which connected roads called as spokes. This system concentrated economic activity and population in capital. It also allowed colonial governments to control colonies and slow down or quickly control fights in regions. First city bias and causes of urban giantism. First city bias occurs when government pays attention to largest city, and it receives a lot of disproportionate public and private investment. So what this leads? This leads to excessive population and economy concentration. And here we have a lot of examples. For example, New York City contains about 66% of US population, while Toronto contains 15% of Canada's population. Mexico City contains 20% of Mexico's population, while Lima more than 25% of Peru's population. We can see how high this number is, how densely people living in these countries. And we have another comparison about extreme pyramid cities. Difference between first biggest city and second biggest city. Like in Bangkok, Thailand, population is about 20 times larger than the second city, while in Malina it's about 7 times larger, and in Kinshasa, Congo, about 5 times larger. And in this graph, we can also see another examples for this trend, like difference between first city and the second city, and how densely population located in this city. And the largest numbers go to Peru, Lima, which have 11 times of the other second city, and the next one is Argentina, which is 8.82. Next. So first, city bias and causes of urban giantism. Now we're going to take a look at some of the causes of urban giantism. As I mentioned above, main cause is hub and spoke transportation system and capital city concentration, when government just pays attention or invests in capital city infrastructure more than any other city. And the next one is rent-seeking political culture and capital market failures, when a lot of infrastructure and firms located in one country, one city. And we have Kuhlman's explanation. Under import substitution industrialization, trade protection reduces international trade. And firms located where most customers live. And when trying to reduce this problem, in most cases, countries try to create second big cities, but firms in most cases do not go there. They just stay where most consumers and workers live. And this creates a circular causation process. Firms attract workers, and the workers attract more firms, and the city keeps growing and growing. So now we're going to take a look at migration and urban labor markets. We know that urban and rural migration contributes to structural imbalance between rural and urban areas. On the supply side, migration increases the number of urban job seekers. Migrants are often young and educated, which rapidly increases the urban labor supply, while rural areas lose valuable human capital. On the demand side, creating jobs in cities is really expensive. It requires capital, infrastructure, skilled management, and complementary inputs. Many firms also use capital-intensive technologies, which may improve productivity, but in the long run, it creates fewer jobs. As a result, cities experience urban surplus labor, which means that there are more workers than available jobs, leading to unemployment and underemployment, which is working in informal sector in really bad conditions. And economists propose 7-part strategy to address these problems. Here we can see 7 suggestions to minimize imbalance between rural and urban migration. First one is creating balance through integrated rural development, improve structure, and create non-farm jobs. And also create rural infrastructure so that people live in better conditions even though they are living in rural places. Next one is expand small-scale labor-intensive industries that can generate job opportunities and create employment. Third one is eliminate factor price distortions, meaning incorporating policies that make capital artificially cheap or labor expensive. Fourth one is promote appropriate labor-intensive technologies sustainable for developing countries. And fifth one is reform the education-employment relationship to reduce educated unemployment. And sixth is reduce population growth by addressing poverty and supporting education of women and expanding family planning. And Last one is decentralized government authority. So local governments can manage urban development better. In conclusion, urbanization and migration are inevitable. We cannot completely get rid of it, but government policies implemented today will determine whether urban growth supports or hinders economic development.
Okay, my name is M.Komiljon, and I'm gonna talk about our presentation, and our topic is migration and urbanization. I will continue with the second part of our topic, and I will start with role of cities. Well, economic development is related to the growth of cities, and when more people come to the cities and they can operate together, they create agglomeration economies. Well, agglomeration economies has two parts. First one is urbanization economies and localization economies. And urbanization economies next. Urbanization economies means benefit or advantage obtained by the firms and people when they come to the city and operate together. And second one is localization economies. Localization economies are the benefits come from the cooperation of small firms in one geographical area. And localization. For example, I will give you an example for localization economies. Well, localization. There is an imagine there is a car manufacturing company and in the town, and in there are some suppliers and technological advancements and some more firms and they are related to the production of this car, and when they cooperate together, they can increase efficiency and productivity. And next slide. I'm gonna talk about the industrial districts and clustering. Well, industrial districts is a main part of urbanization, and industrial districts means it's a small number of small and medium-sized companies and firms. They work together, and they are the small and they are important part of production. For example, well, in one geographical area, there is a firm which produce clothing. It includes the clothing, fabrics, and production, and also raw materials, and these elements together create one product. And next one is clustering. Clustering is a collection of suppliers, firms, and institutions. For example, its main element is firms and firms. They produce product, and suppliers provide raw materials, and research institutions. Together, all of them, they work efficiently and increase productivity. For example, we can see its industrial districts and clustering is an example of China. In this picture, these pictures like green, yellow, and red shows industrial districts. For example, in there they include the production of one product, and all parts included in this production, like raw materials and next suppliers and other states. But in this picture, in this blue part, we can see clustering. Clustering is a collection of broad areas like firms, suppliers, and institutions. Well, I'm gonna tell about its main difference. Well, in the industrial districts is small and medium-sized companies operate together and produce one type of product. And but clustering includes very broad broad performance of companies includes mainly suppliers, firms, and research institutions. Next slide. And also I will give information about urbanization costs and efficient urban scale. Well, urbanization cost is a severe problem in urbanization and migration. For example, urbanization cost refers to the optimal condition of cities, includes both urbanization's benefits and its costs. For example, in one city, if people come extensively to the cities, they create some problems, and the problems, for example, the rents become high, and pollution increase, and also create other problems, and urbanization cost includes all of them. But efficient urban scale refers to the urbanization costs. In the efficient urban scale, urbanization costs and its benefits equal and become equal. And for example, if people come in cities and they create benefits, like they create more jobs and infrastructure, and also some expand economy, but also there is a disadvantage, like they cause more traffic jam and population increase, and also air pollution. And if these pros and cons of this urbanization equals, it shows efficient urban scale. Next slide. Next part is urban information sector. Well, what does it mean? It means urban informal sectors includes if people's economic activities unregulated and unregistered by the government, and it causes informal sector of urban. It causes some problems, like increasing the number of job orders, orders, and reducing efficiency, and also causing some problems. And there are some ways to reduce urban informal sectors. And for this, government should pay attention to registering firms and offering some help, subsidies and help to these companies, and also provides the controlling of this process. Well, it includes, I'm gonna give an example about forest informal sectors. Like it includes street retailers and some unregistered taxis, and registered taxis and couriering system, and these are the main examples. Next one is women in the informal sector. Well, women in the informal sector its rate is very high, because they come to the rural area, to the cities, and work in main jobs. For example, selling some products, or doing some unregistered works in cities, and it causes main problems. And next slide is. We can see here is the importance of informal employment in selected cities. And next one. And next part is toward an economic theory of rural-urban migration. This model is created by the Thomas Harris and Michael Todaro, and this model's main aim is to show expected income of people. Well, why people come from cities, from rural areas to cities? They want to more high jobs and more expected income. So this model is based on these problems. And next slide. I want to show these models how this works. And for example, when more people come cities from rural place, like the number of labor increase in cities, and this vertical axis shows agriculture wage rate, and horizontal line shows labor number of labor. And when more people come cities, wage the number of wages decline in cities because they take more jobs and reduce some wages in cities. And also this equilibrium point shows urban scale of this model, and it's become stable always, and it's fixed for this labor market and wages. And next part, and we can see the how agriculture incomes in its formula for this calculation. Employment in manufacturing is divided by the total number of labor and multiplied to urban minimum wage. Next part. And so I told you about these information. And next slide. And this is end of our presentation, and I told you about these main information about rural urban balance and reducing okay, this is the main concept for reviewing our presentation, and I told you about these main definitions and information about our topic, and thank you very much.